Everyone we look at, we have to learn to see Jesus in them. This, as like a statement on its own, is something that is kind of interesting to me. It is something that I struggle with personally because, well, we all have these struggles. And the reason why people talk about it and Christian people, when talking about faith, when talking about the love that Jesus has for us, it's about that, right? When you hear love your neighbor as yourself, that's really what it looks like. You want to look at every single person in your life and see Jesus in them, regardless of their beliefs, regardless of what they do. As a Christian, as a follower of Jesus Christ, that is what you need to do. The reason why this is a framework, the reason why this is something that people talk about, people repeat online or even in other places, is because, well, we cast judgment, right? I cast judgment. I'm guilty of it. And as humans, we are very quick to judge someone based off of their looks, based off of like just one thing, rather than knowing who the person is, right? Jesus never cared about the outside looks, right? He was dealing with Samaritans who back then in that day there was a lot of racism, right? There was a lot of segregation between different peoples. Jesus didn't care. Jesus would deal with all sorts, all kinds of people and would heal people and would make the blind see no matter where they were from, what they would do, right? But there was a lot of racism in the Bible that Jesus was really contradicting by going out there and going to places like Samaria and and going there and preaching and teaching and spreading the word of God to them. And of course, when Jesus dies and then the disciples go do the same thing, they take it one step further. They go pretty much everywhere, right? They go everywhere throughout Europe, throughout parts of Western Asia, some parts of Eastern Africa, and they went out and they really did spread it to everyone without caring about what they look like, right? Without casting judgments on people. But But we all cast judgment. That's the truth, right? We all fail. We all fall short, right? We all are very quick to look at someone and think you're all high and mighty, right? Be like, oh, they made a mistake. You judge them for it, right? Or you just based on their looks, you'll judge them for it, right? Based on their smell, you judge them for it. Like you see like a homeless person, they smell terrible. You're instantly over there thinking like, bro, why is this guy on the bus, dude? Like, can't someone get him out of here, right? Like, of course, those thoughts, in some ways, some variety, come into your mind. But that's why it's hard, and that's why it's a teaching. That's why it's a concept that is hard to do. How can you see Jesus in everyone? And it's pretty simple. It's knowing that everyone has love, everyone has good in them, having that hope and that belief in you, and knowing that no matter where people are at, no matter what mistakes they made, no matter what problems they have, that even if there are some evils in people, of course it's true, everyone has a small level of good that can come out truly if you look at it the right way. We've seen it with the World Cup. I've seen many videos on Instagram with the World Cup how people are connecting. Like people from different countries and fans from different countries, they're connecting, they're having fun, they're celebrating, they're doing all sorts of fun stuff together, just enjoying their time together. And a lot of people are realizing, oh, a lot of this hate, a lot of this judgment, a lot of this anger is really just facilitated by politicians, by political media, and by social media, right? But when you're off social media, when you're off these things, when you're there together celebrating together, you realize you realize just how many people are just good, kind-hearted people that are not bad, even if they disagree with you politically. The internet has caused things to be so divided. Politics has caused things to be so divided. But realizing, like people from Europe, right? The Norwegians coming in doing what they've done, and many other countries and cultures from Europe going to America, watching the World Cup, realizing, oh, it's not that bad. The people are actually super nice. I don't know why we have this internal hatred towards this country, right? And towards just a group of people because of the politicians, right? So people are realizing there's a lot more kindness, a lot more good, a lot more love in the world than really is perpetuated online, right? So so why are we judging people, right? Why are we so quick to say, oh, all Americans are bad? Or why are we so quick to say all Canadians are bad? Even to say all liberals are bad, all conservatives are bad, right? Why are we so quick to just go straight into that, right? Because just logistically, empirically, it's not the case. It's absolutely not the case, right? You have the extremists, you have the people that bring the rest of the group down, always. And that's kind of all that is shown online, really. Whereas the middle ground, which is like the movable middle, the opinions, the respectful debates are few and far between in comparison to just the anger, right? So what Jesus says and what God talks about and what many Christian preachers and people in the faith talk about is you have to look at everyone and see Jesus in them. No matter if you disagree with political things, you're of a different skin color, you're of a different weight, whatever thing predisposition that you may have, a judgment that you may have towards someone for whatever reason, why judge them? Why judge someone, right? Jesus himself says, judge and you will not be judged. Sorry. Judge not and you shall not be judged, right? I botched that because it's early in the morning. I'm a little bit tired, but judge not and you shall not be judged. But if you do judge, your Father in heaven will judge you as well. It's like you have no right to judge people because the only one that should be judging people is God, right? You are not God. You don't have control over what people do, what people look like, what people say. And it's like that's kind of the thing. It's like sometimes it can be hard, but really, it's a very important lesson just in terms of acting in a Christ-like way by seeing Jesus in everyone and treating them like it, by loving them and just not hating them, not judging them, not being angry at them, but just showing compassion and love and kindness towards them. There's way more of that in the world than you might think. There's way more than that. There's way more than you might think because of all this online nonsense, right? So I think the World Cup's done a good job in revealing some of it, but there's definitely a whole kind of thing waiting to be, a whole unity between society waiting to kind of come about. And I'm pretty optimistic. I'm optimistic. I think I'm really in the future looks bright camp. There's all this doom and gloom stuff, and you can look at all the negatives and let that kind of, make you despair, make you have some despair and distress. But I honestly think after some of the things I've been seeing, I think the world looks like it could potentially be moving in a better place, right? I think there is way more love, there is way more good than is seen, right? And you have to go and look for it, right? You don't want to be so quick to judge because hey, you might have just missed something truly beautiful, truly amazing, a truly good moment between people, right? Whether it is between a stranger or whether it is between someone you and someone you know. Judging them quickly or being angry at them or having hatred and resentment towards them, it's basically just going to remove what could have been a beautiful moment from you. And of course, you have these predispositions towards people that most of the time are not really true. And of course, that's not what God calls you to do. God calls you to love, not hate, right? There's so much hate in the world. But if you were to actually look at everyone and you think Jesus has a part in this person, Jesus is present in this person because he is present in all of us. So you see a piece of Jesus Christ in every person that you deal with, that you even see on the street, then that's a beautiful way to learn to love rather than hate. Like, sometimes it's hard, right? I absolutely understand. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you have to deal with people in your life that make you angry, that really piss you off, that are kind of trying to get on your bad side. And that's true. That is really honest, right? Sometimes there are people that make it very hard to show grace to show love to, because they don't show it back to you. But what Jesus calls us to do is to not worry about those things. Give them love anyway. Give them compassion anyway. Grace and kindness, regardless of what they do to you. And that's hard. That's hard because those types of people are very, very quick to judge. It's very easy to judge them, right? They make a mistake. Someone makes a mistake that destroys your reputation, that destroys your company, that destroys something in your life. It can be very easy to hate them, to judge them for it, to chastise them for it. But that's not your place, first and foremost. Not your place. That is God's place to deal with it. And second of all, that's where Christian faith is the most seen when it's difficult. Can you still love? Can you still show compassion and kindness to this person when it is difficult, when they're making you angry, when they've made mistakes to hurt you, whether or not it was intentional, right? Can you still love them? Or are you going to then move away and judge them and hate them and harbor that resentment and confront them even and have many difficult situations happen as a result? That's kind of the Christian way. It's like you need to know that in this moment it's hard, but if you still see that Jesus is in this person, then you need to show them love and kindness and compassion as if you were talking to Jesus, right? Many times Jesus talks about how you treat other people is exactly how you would treat him, right? It's like if Jesus Christ was here on this earth and you're the type of person that judges people, that hurts people, that hates people, that's very angry right away, that doesn't really give someone a chance, that looks at someone and judges them right away. Like if someone has a bad smell, you judge them right away. If anything is off, and if anything is far away from your internal perfection model, whatever that may look like in your mind, you'll judge them. Well, then if Jesus Christ was standing right in front of you, you'd be doing the same to him. That is the parable, the comparison that Jesus makes quite a couple times, quite a few times in the Gospels, and it's absolutely true, right? That's why loving your neighbor as yourself is the commandment, the ultimate commandment that Jesus talks about. He says what are the commandments, right? It's like love your God with your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbors yourself. And all of the 10 commandments and everything else can be put just into those two sentences, right? So when you judge others, when you're quick to point the finger, when you're quick to make assumptions about people that maybe aren't true, that is you hating others instead of loving. That is you going against God's commandment, and recognizing that Jesus is present in every soul, in every person, is a great way to not just jump straight into the judgment, not jump straight into the anger. Realize that even if someone makes a mistake, even if someone does something to hurt you, or even if someone just looks like they're in a bad position, you know that God is still within them, that there's still hope for them as there is hope for everyone, so that you shouldn't judge them. You shouldn't hate them. You shouldn't make situations worse, and you should just keep on going, keep on living your life, and pray for them, right? Pray for them rather than hate on them. And truly show your love for them in the ways that you can. So it's a very interesting concept, and I think it's just something to remember that in all that you do, God is watching, right? And in every person that you interact with, there's a portion of Jesus Christ within them. And how you react to certain situations, how you are quick to judge people, or how you're able to be kind of stoic and not deal with that, is kind of how God will judge you in the end, right? By what measure you met, you will be measured by as well. That's pretty much, I think that's like a couple verses after the judge not and you shall not be judged, right? That's a couple verses after. What measure you measure people with, God will also measure you with. So if you judge someone for doing something wrong, usually you've probably done something similar in the past as well, and God knows, right? God will be the first to humble you, knowing that you went through it, and you're judging someone for something that you did in the past, or for a thing that you went through in the past, or something you said in the past as well. So judgment is very hypocritical, right? It, like, just instantly, because we as humans, we all have good in us, we all have evil in us. We all fall short, we all do well in some cases, right? So to judge someone based on something, whether it is their looks, whether it is what they've done, is never good. It is never Christ-like. It is never something that God calls us to do. It is absolutely something that goes against God's teaching, because, of course, he says, love your neighbors yourself, and judgment is a form of hatred and predisposition towards people that probably don't really deserve it, first and foremost. And even if they do deserve it, that's the harder part, right? They do deserve it, but you still have to not do it and show them love. That's what God calls us to do. When it's difficult is really the real test of your faith. How much can you see Jesus Christ in someone that you really hate deep down? That's a good challenge. That's a good test for you. But remember that whatever measure you measure someone by, you will be measured by the same. And most of the time, you will probably have also fallen short in some regard as well. And God knows, right? God knows all of your works, all that is within your heart. So it is up to you, and that is really your duty, right? To look at people and remember that Jesus is within them, that Jesus is a part of them. They're part of every single person, because we are all the creations created by God and given this blessed life, and we are all made equal in his eyes, right? So if you can keep that in your mind whenever you're dealing with someone, or whenever you're dealing with a situation, or whenever you think you're going to be quick to judge someone for something, think about that. Just think about that in your mind. Think about that in your heart. Remember that Jesus Christ is within all people, and the good that he brings is truly in all people as well. So you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised just how many people are actually nicer people than you realize, right? Like the whole homeless people on the street thing. Like, they might smell bad, but a lot of them are very humble, because they've gone through the worst of it. They've gone through just some bad stuff, and maybe like they've kind of given up in life, but they don't blame anyone else but themselves, right? So they I guess are known to that fact. Like, you'll be surprised just how many of them are actually pretty humble. Of course, you have the unfortunate situations with, alcoholics, crackheads, all that stuff, the people that are not really there in their minds. But if I think even those people, if they were in their sound mind, if they were in their right headspace, there's always some good within them as well. So don't be so quick to judge someone, right? Because no matter where they're at, no matter what they might have done or what situation they're in that might have caused you to cast this judgment, whether like something you're just thinking in your mind or you actually say something to someone, don't judge people, man, because God will judge you and hold you to an even higher standard. And you know that you've not hit that standard because you've fallen short, because we all fall short. And that's okay, right? But you shouldn't judge them. Instead, look at them and see Jesus in them and help them rather than be so quick to judge. This is something that I have to work on in my life as well, because I think I judge people a little bit too quickly as well sometimes. Like, I'm very quick to make false conclusions and false assumptions about people and about their characters, about decisions that they make. But but perhaps I need to do better in that regard as well. So it's an interesting thing for me to think about. It was just something that I had watched yesterday, a video I'd watched that was like, yeah, that's an interesting perspective, an interesting thing that really does make sense. Like, if you can truly look at everyone and see Jesus within them, it will just make you want to love them more. It will make you want to treat them even better. And it will make you want to move away from feelings of anger, resentment, hatred, judgment at all, right? And just try and help. And that's really the essence of what Jesus Christ calls us to do as followers of him. To love your neighbor as yourself, and to truly help the poor, help the vulnerable, help those that truly need it. And always remember who your God is. Always remember that he is the ultimate judge. And don't be the one to try and play God when you judge other people. Instead, recognize that everyone has their battles, everyone has their demons. Pray for them, love on them, help them in any way you can, and keep a neutral perspective, right? And always remember that Jesus is within each and every person that you come across, that you stumble upon in your life every single day. So, doesn't matter what their faith is, right? As a Christian man, that should just be something that you think about, right? Doesn't matter where their faith lies, if they're Christian, if they're Muslim, if they have no faith, whatever. It doesn't matter where their faith is. You remember just by your beliefs and your faith that Jesus is within them no matter what. And knowing that and having that as your framework for how you treat people, how you go about your life, about your business is an amazing, amazing foundation to truly just achieve many amazing relationships. And again, you judge someone and it's probably a false assumption, and then you realize, oh, this person's actually not that bad, and you can have a great relationship. Whereas if you just spend time judging them, being angry at them, then it's not something that's going to be fruitful for anyone, right? So many more beautiful things will come about in your life, and beautiful relationships and interactions with people will come about if you go from the perspective of Jesus is within them. Let's love them, not hate them first, before casting any sort of judgment, right? And then the final thing is just to kind of reiterate another point that I talked about, where it's like, some people truly they deserve it, right? They deserve hate and anger and pain, because the truth is that they put it onto themselves, right? By the way that they treated others, by the way that they lived their life, by the decisions that they made. Just logistically, that is the truth. But that doesn't mean that you should still do that, right? Because that is God's place to judge regardless, right? Even if a person deserves all the judgment and all the hate in the world, it's not your place to give that to them. It is your place to still give them love no matter what, and whatever God has for them, that is God's will, right? So that is really the truth of the matter. That is the truth of the matter, right? It's like, the point is, it's like, you shouldn't be judging others. You are not God. You shouldn't be trying to play God and hurt people. Don't hurt people, right? No matter what they might or might not deserve, don't hurt them. Don't judge them. Instead, help them, love them, and remember that Jesus is in them no matter what, right? No matter what. No matter how much evil they might have done, no matter how many mistakes they might have made in their lives, no matter how pathetic even they might be, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be thinking about any of those things. You should be thinking about just love. And that's it. That's all you can really do. That's all you can really focus on to truly spread the word of God's kingdom through action. And the way you spread Jesus' love is by spreading your love to other people. So that's what I got to say for today. It's an interesting concept. It's an interesting idea that just kind of is in my mind, right? Especially as I'm trying to grow in the Christian faith every day. I'm learning that I definitely have some predispositions, some assumptions towards people that perhaps are not true, right? Because it's my own internal judgment and anger and overthinking that just kind of hurts me, and it hurts the relationships I have with certain people, right? So I need to work on this as well. I need to work on this as well. Instead of just hating, to love and assume the best in people. Sometimes people will fall short. If you assume the best in people, it's a much more positive way to live your life than assuming the worst in people. Yes, if you assume the best in people, sometimes people will fall short and sometimes people will just do terrible things to you, right? But when someone actually does do great things to you, it just makes that moment even more wonderful and even more beautiful thing to share, right? Between you and another person, right? So I think you can assume the best in people or you assume the worst in people. Assuming the worst in people will probably be good for avoiding bad conflicts and stuff and evil, people that maybe will bring you down in life. I think that's a good thing. But at the same time, the people that might bring you up, you're maybe pushing them away as well, right? So you got to weigh out your options, right? I think it's better to look for the best in people. Always assume the good in a person rather than the bad. And if they do have the bad, then you just need to move on, love them all the same, but move on, right? Don't deal with this person for longer than you need to if they really do have that bad in them, right? And yeah, and but then the people that have good, it'll be even better, right? The people that you assume as good and they live up to that assumption, it'll be an even more beautiful interaction, more beautiful relationship. I've had those times in my life as well where I've had great conversations, great kind of moments with people because I kept it open and I assumed the good in them instead of assuming the evil in them, right? So it's about perspective. You can look at it either way, but I think it really is better. And that's definitely what God calls us to do, is to assume the good in people no matter what. But it is essentially just that, looking at everyone and seeing Jesus. How can you look at anyone, no matter what they look like, no matter where they're from, no matter what they've done to you or to anyone else? How can you look at every single person and see Jesus in them? Ask that question to yourself and try and find ways to do that. And try and find ways to keep Jesus in your heart every day and grow in that faith and in that passion for the Lord each and every day in your life. That's it for this episode. That's all I got for today. Thank you for watching. I hope that this was an interesting lesson for you. I hope that it kind of gives you some different perspective on life in general. This is definitely something that I have to work on, so I'm going to be doing it. That's why I'm talking about it, because it's me kind of just reflecting on things that perhaps I have to do better as well. So thank you for watching this episode of the 365 Podcast. As always, show your support in any way that you can by leaving a like, subscribing on YouTube, following the show on Spotify. If you haven't done that yet, I really do appreciate your support in any way that you can do it. And if this video helped you in some way when it comes to developing your relationship with God in a better way, let me know, right? Let me know with a comment, or let me know by interacting with the video in any way that you can. That's how you can show me that this was an impactful video to you, that actually is good content that you enjoy. So I'm trying my best to glorify the kingdom. I'm trying my best on this show to spread the word of God, and nothing's really going to stop me, right? I'm going to keep on going. So remember that as the lesson. Look at everyone and see Jesus Christ within them. Thank you for watching this episode of the 365 Podcast. Continue to glorify God every day throughout your life. And as always, I'll see you tomorrow for the next episode.